Global financial markets rebound after stock market meltdown. Goldman Sachs' strategic investment advice after Dow havoc. And Mexican far-left presidential hopeful takes commanding lead in the polls. Hello and welcome to today's edition of Mexico News Network's Breaking News Business. I'm Elliot Bullman. Let's go straight to the information. The main stock market indices in the United States recorded a technical rebound on Tuesday, which showed the highest gain since the end of January 2016. According to analysts, the falls that occurred last Friday and on Black Monday were not due to economic problems in Mexico or in the United States, but to a correction after the positive streak last year. Since Monday's plunge, the Standard & Poor's 500, Nasdaq and Dow Jones have all recorded a technical rebound supported by opportunity purchases, which in the end showed the highest gain since the end of January of 2016. On Tuesday, after a session of ups and downs, the Dow Jones Industrial Average closed the session with a gain of 2.33%, while the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq rose 1.74% and 2.13% respectively. The Mexican IPC fell by 3.36% during the morning of Tuesday, but later cut its losses and closed the session at 49,304.94 units, in a session marked by volatility. Overnight, the Asian stock markets had a positive opening in which the Nikkei index of Japan gained up to 3.2%, while the Hang Seng of China rose 2.4%. Carlos Ponce, Deputy General Manager of BX Plus Strategy, urged investors not to lose sight of the fundamentals and rather stick to what the economic data is reflecting, especially those of the United States. And following on from this story, after the scale of Monday's global stock market meltdown that threw investors for a loop, your first instinct might be to stay well clear of the equity markets. Goldman Sachs disagrees, however. If anything, they believe the temporary weakness has created more investment opportunities. Sachs equity strategist David Kostin said in a note on Tuesday that the stock market correction appears to be more technical and positioning driven rather than fundamentals based, and reiterated Goldman Sachs S&P 500 year-end 2018 forecast of 2,850, up 8%. Kostin recommends favouring cyclical companies that boast low labour costs and strong balance sheets. The strategist points out that factors such as tax reform, rising oil prices and a weakening US dollar should be supportive of higher stock prices. In other words, all those investors worrying the Dow's crash from its record highs is signalling a looming recession should simmer down a bit. Goldman Sachs maintains that the catalyst for Monday's sell-off came as bond yields spiked after the US added 200,000 jobs to payrolls in January, well above forecasts, and yearly wage gains rose at the fastest pace since the Great Recession of 2008-2009. In other news, according to Reuters on Wednesday, left-wing Mexican presidential hopeful Andrés Manuel López Obrador has an 11 percentage point lead over rival Ricardo Anaya of the left-right coalition. Meanwhile, ruling Institutional Revolutionary Party candidate José Antonio Meade slipped 2 points from an earlier opinion poll to 18%, 16 points behind the front-runner. Two-time presidential runner-up López Obrador has promised to review billions of dollars of private oil contracts and wipe out corruption. He vows more social spending without upsetting Mexico's macroeconomic stability. On Monday, Andrés Manuel López Obrador said that he'll seek to prevent oil from falling back into the hands of foreigners, and reiterated that he'll review the contracts that were recently granted for the exploration and exploitation of hydrocarbons, worth around $170 billion. The tenders are part of an energy reform approved in 2013 that opened the sector, once reserved to the state, to private capital. The reform was an attempt to shore up the declining oil and gas production and increase oil resources in a low-price environment, 75 years after the nationalization of the industry in 1938. And finally, let's turn to the markets. The Mexican peso decreased 0.22% to 18.74 from 18.79 in the previous trading session. On the other hand, the IPC Mexico decreased 0.67% to 48,976 from 49,305 in the previous trading session. This was all for today. Thank you for staying with us. I'm Elliot Bullman. Remember to follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Google+, and log on to MexicoNewsNetwork.com for more information on Mexico and the world. Until next time.